Good morning and welcome to the Catholic Take. I'm Lou Murray. I'm guest hosting today for Joe McLean. And my guest is an American media executive, political strategist. Welcome, Steve Bannon.
Lou, thanks for having me. Always honored to be on your show and talking to many of the traditional devout Catholics throughout the nation.
I guess that's one moniker that I left out, that you are a leading Catholic layman, and thank you for making time to be with us today, Steve.
Lou, I wouldn't want to denigrate the real layman to do the work. I'm just a sinner that's a dumb Mick fighting Irishman. So that's about as high as I go.
We need more fighting Irishmen, if that's the case. So let's take a quick spin around politics for a few minutes with our listeners. And yesterday's Sunday morning shows are driving the freight train of Democratic and Republican messaging. And it's apparent that, the lawfare, all of these indictments against Donald Trump, isn't working. And some of the Republican candidates are starting to go negative. One candidate, a governor of Florida who will remain unnamed, called supporters of Trump and the Make America Great Again movement listless vessels. What are your thoughts on yesterday's Sunday show?
Well, as a naval officer that served for about 8 years, 4 of those at sea in the Pacific Fleet, I have never heard using a nautical term, listless vessels, to describe the deplorables. I think it's outrageous, and obviously it's a Hillary Clinton type of moment of a floundering campaign. I think the deeper thing is to what you mentioned, is that this polling, and if you look at the Sunday show, CBS News came out with a shock poll that, shows Trump up, 40, 50 points. Just emphasizes the fact that remember, for your audience, this primary is 1,000% driven by Rupert Murdoch. This is driven by Rupert Murdoch and the Fox News empire, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, and Murdoch's Fox News and Fox Business, to try to kneecap Trump like they tried to do in 2015, but this time more seriously. This is why this whole construct of this primary, which is a joke right now, we should be focused all our money, because they're going to spend $500 million going after Trump. That money is desperately needed to do what these outside groups do, to make sure they can't steal the 2024 election with mail-in ballots, with phony registrations, with whatever they do with the machines. The Mike Lindell group has a deep analysis of that. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing this lawfare. The lawfare is backfiring clearly, because I think with Fonnie Willis they jumped the shark. People are looking at this now with 90-some indictments, 700 years in prison. They realize, the average American realizes something deeply wrong here. What I'm not quite comfortable with is the Trump teams, and Trump, really not so much his team, associated groups not being on offense like the groups opposed to Trump are on offense. And the Sunday show is a perfect example. I didn't really see a counter-narrative building there, and particularly people demanding that a formal impeachment inquiry start against Joe Biden. Now that we know he have his emails and he's changed his name and he's lied about it, this is getting to be a crisis as the Chinese economy, which has $62 trillion of real estate value, quote unquote, is auguring into the hillside and collapsing before our eyes, with the oligarchs on Wall Street trying to do a bailout of the Chinese Communist Party. Right now, more than ever, we need a formal inquiry into how Joe Biden sold out the country to the Chinese Communist Party for money. So there's a lot going on. I think the American people understand that they're backing Trump more than ever, because these numbers are off the charts. I'd just like to see us be on offense more with affiliated groups around President Trump. He can't do everything, and people are depending on him and doing too much right now.
It's a great point, Steve. I'm reminded of one of the British wags said that Churchill was like a tensile wire, that the more you stretched it, the greater the spring. And he couldn't be defeated by opinions and media bashing. He only gets larger and stronger like a lion. And I think we're seeing that with Donald Trump. But yeah, when Donna Brazile is your best defender on the Sunday morning shows, and Ken Cuccinelli and a governor you've never heard of spend their time tisking the base, it was sad, a sad show for Republican messaging. And when I say Republican messaging, I'm talking about the only party that is holding up the values that Catholics are interested in.
Well, the Maga party, here's the thing most disturbing, and for your audience, I think probably the most relevant. remember, a big part of this lawfare is not simply aimed at Trump. Obviously, that's their lead target. It's also aimed at the Maga movement. And that's why you've seen in both Michigan and in Georgia indictments of a broad range of people. Many of these are devout Catholics and Christians that just were doing their duty according to the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and how John Kennedy and Nixon worked through Hawaii in 1960. And these
Correct.
people, remember, in Michigan, the average age of the electors in Michigan, the alternative or contingent electors, is 73 years old. And they're facing multiple felonies that could be minimum of 14 to 16 years in prison. So they would die in prison if they were convicted. They won't be, but if they were, and it's going to cost them hundreds of thousands, not millions of dollars. They're trying to break the Trump movement at the same time they're trying to break President Trump. That's why I think the polling's so powerful, because people are saying, I know something's up here. Maybe I don't even love Trump, but I've never seen the state apparatus come after an individual or his followers like this in the history of this country, and I reject it.
Absolutely, and you're dead on there. You know, I was in Washington at the White House on January the 6th on the Ellipse, and there was almost 1 million people there, and those people all went home. A very small amount of people actually went into the opened the doors of the Congress. But all those people went home and talked about what a peaceful day it was, and they are spreading the word that this is between January 6th and the events of the election itself. There's no doubt that things are askew, and I think the people are onto it.
I think the numbers are showing you that. That's why the Murdochs, remember, the Murdochs are driving this primary. The reason they're driving this primary is to get Trump as dinged up as possible. So then in the general, where they will support, because remember, they were essentially Hillary Clinton supporters before we beat her. They will either support Biden, who I think highly unlikely to be the nominee, or a Michelle Obama, or a Gavin Newsom. As long as they're committed to not raise taxes on the wealthy. And for your audience, remember, the Democrats are never going to raise taxes on the wealthy, right? That's all performative, because the wealthy are their base. You know, their base is the oligarchs, the wealthy, and the very, very poor, the proletariat. Working class people, the middle class, the working middle class, the working poor. Those are all MAGA, right?
Exactly, Steve. I've been working on the 2016 campaign. I saw that up close and personal. You know, that Wall Street is 100% the money machine of the Democratic Party. And people seem to think it's the other way around, but no.
This is why they hate Trump, by the way, for your audience. This is why they're trying to destroy Trump. In Washington, D.C., not in the room, not in the deal. Trump not only put you in the room, he put you at the head of the table. That's why they hate him. That's why they have to destroy him. And they're going to destroy the inner and outer circle of MAGA leaders at the same time. This is all-out war by other means. They're coming at you using every aspect of the administrative and deep state in the quote-unquote legal system to destroy MAGA right now.
Yeah, you know, the glorious thing about Donald Trump is that he goes over the heads of the elites in both the media and in other realms of society, and he talks directly to the people. And he has made a beautiful chess move here to short circuit the debate, and he's going to be on Twitter speaking with Tucker Carlson, who had to do an exit from Fox News. What are your thoughts on that?
I've been an advocate of this since CPAC, when I called out the Murdochs of being a bunch of foreigners trying to involve themselves in American presidential politics. For your audience, please, whatever you do not turn on Fox on Wednesday night. Do not watch this debate. Don't have your friends turn off. We need to make sure they have very little ratings. And if you're not on Twitter, just come to our Getter account. We're going to be live streaming the Tucker interview with the president. We'll be doing other programming too. So I think it's alternative programming that night. Whatever you do, don't turn into the Keebler elves, because all you're going to see is a hate fest against President Trump.
I think Trump and Tucker are must-watch TV, as they used to say about Thursday night. But
I would agree with you, sir.
Yeah. So, the last several weeks, MSNBC has been spotlighting a Baptist preacher who's been sermonizing about the collapse of American Christianity and so concerned about Baptists and Catholics, supporting.
He's terrible.
Absolutely.
He's a liberal evangelical. Here's what they're trying to do. The biggest fear they have right now, what you're going to be tainted with, is called Christian nationalism. And this is traditional Catholics, devout Catholics, and evangelical Christians that understand this country is in a complete collapse. So they're trying to put fear in people that's saying, oh, we're like the American Taliban. And what they're going to roll out, this is the way they're going to do it. They're going to roll out various left-wing and progressive evangelical preachers like this Russell Moore guy, who I think he owns one of the big Christian magazines. They're going to sit there and say, this is so terrible. These people are misguided and following somebody like Trump who doesn't believe in Christian values. This is all to come after the foundational element of American society, which is those church-going Catholics and Christians. They're really the basis of our civic society. Remember, society is in the collapse right now because of these radical atheist, neo-Marxist globalists that are trying to destroy the taproot of religious belief in this country. That's where we have to come together and join and link arms with our evangelical brothers and sisters to make sure that we make a political statement now, that you can't sit on the sidelines. And as people know, the official church administration in this country is a total left-wing disaster, right? These people are the most progressive left-wing, I think, almost in the country. And we have to stand up to it. We have to stand up to it.
Absolutely. And you know, the bishops who do stand up, the bishops who do fight, like the Bishop of Worcester and Bishop Strickland in Texas, the people rally to their side. And the people want fighters like Trump and fighters like Bishop Strickland in Texas. Steve, we've got about 2 minutes left, and I don't want to cut you off. And you're always so good asking people on your show, how can people get a hold of you? How can people listen, hear more about what you have to say? Can you tell people
I think the simplest way to do it is just go to warroom.org. You can get all of our content. You can get we're on something like 75 different platforms. I try to make the show. We're 4 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning from 10 to noon Eastern Daylight Time, and then from 5 to 7 Eastern Daylight Time in the afternoon. 4 hours a day and 2 hours on Saturday morning from 10 to noon. Everything is free. We try to make it ubiquitous. We don't have a paywall.
I'm going to cut you off right there, Steve, because this is kind of a back to school show, and you are the proud dad of a West Point graduate, Captain Maureen Bannon, and she has been uncorrupted by the world. So obviously you've done something right. And with a lot of parents tuning in and they're getting ready for school, and is there a book you'd recommend to parents or maybe someone, a young person who's listening?
I have a very specific book I would strongly recommend every young person, every parent read it. You ought to read a part of it every day. The Gospel According to Mark. Just start with the Gospel According to Mark. You can read it in one sitting, and you should read it multiple times. It is not Jesus Christ as a social justice warrior. It's Jesus Christ as an exorcist against the devil. Read the Gospel According to Mark every day. That'll do it. That'll do it for you, Lou.
Evil is real, and you're one of St. Michael's angels, and thank you for being with us, Steve Bannon. I wish you God bless and good luck.
So honored, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.